session, I mean like the objective of actually having this session is also to introduce some good practices, some models from across the country to sort of, think through how last mile connectivity is achieved through innovative mechanisms such as community network. I would like to start with Gomer B Padong, who has joined us online. He is the Development Cooperation and Advocacy Director of the Philippine Social Enterprise Network.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving to those celebrating. My presentation this afternoon is around a project we are doing called Model Building of Community Networks Linked to Social Enterprise and Local Economic Development. This is actually supported by ISEA Asia with technical support from the Association for Progressive Communications. So the project is about addressing sustainability issues faced by community networks, and this is to develop community networks as part of social enterprise systems as distinct social enterprises serving various stakeholders. And the other aim is to optimize potentials for ICT to enhance efficiency, productivity, and incomes of social enterprises and their marginalized stakeholders. This is currently running since January to December 2023. We're implementing in 3 countries. First one is in Bangladesh, and this is with our implementation partners, Foundation for Architecture and Community Equity. They're using ICT, including a cellular router system connecting fair trade value chain stakeholders led by Prokriti, a fair trade organization based out of Dhaka, and developing which are coming from Cox's Bazar. The cellular router system connects the product designers, quality checkers, and marketing channels to these new supplier communities to allow them to efficiently co-create and sell products via fair trade markets. In China, our implementation partner is actually Sources for Action, and the community the model that they are building is around a development of an app linked to WeChat as a virtual platform enabling smallholder farmers, women and youth in 2 pilot villages to document and share and showcase knowledge on quality food production, biodiversity conservation, sustainable farming, and local cultural practices. We're doing 2 initiatives in the Philippines as part of the project. The first one is with the Philippine Rural Reconstruction Movement, and this is to improve productivity and efficiency as well as incomes of women and men small-scale producers of organizations producing inorganic vegetables and also working through a nonprofit. For the Philippine Coffee Alliance, we're developing an IoT system that actually communicates with operational and other data will be acquired from the communication of this IoT system. And this is actually to undertake more effective and efficient operations and farm planning of coffee farmers. The Philippine Coffee Alliance is an alliance of 50 plus coffee producers and organizations all over across the Philippines. Just interest of time, maybe I'll share with you some of the emerging the concluding remarks. The emerging sustainable strategies of the 4 pilot community networks in different value chains, such as coffee, organic vegetables, crafts, and even in agricultural, cultural, and educational tools, result not just in improved connectivity for communities, but also towards improved capacities of marginalized stakeholders at the level of individual producers as well as producer organizations, improved access to productive resources and markets, and as well as increased productivity around savings and increasing incomes and revenue. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share our work. I have noticed that the session is around the good and best practices of community networks. I'm not sure we are at that level yet, since we are still developing the models, but we're happy to share our initiative. Thank you as well to APAC Foundation and ISEA Asia for continuing to support our initiatives across the 3 countries. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving the time. Without wasting time, I would like to move to Beatrice.
Namaste everyone. While we wait for the slides to load, thank you for having me and inviting us, especially from the DEF as well as Ethnic Foundation. So just to introduce ourselves while the slides are being pulled up, Kacific is a satellite broadband operator, so we provide connectivity to the rural and underserved areas of Asia Pacific. And today we cover 25 regions across Asia Pacific. We connect businesses, governments, and rural communities. And I'm aware that we don't have much time, so I will skip to the very important portions. On the next slide, one of the very key things about Kacific, and we own and operate a satellite today, but we are not purely a traditional satellite operator. It is very important for us to provide good and meaningful connectivity at a cost that meets the appetite of our rural markets. So it's very clear from the start that we set out to do that. In the next slide, just some numbers that I will skim through. So we set out to connect schools, hospitals, as well as create jobs. So we connect over 3,000 schools, 370 hospitals, and create over 2,000 jobs today. So today I wanted to share some of the learnings and practices being on the ground for the past 4 years after we launched our satellite on how we managed to achieve relative success in these difficult markets that was shared by the panel earlier. If I can just skip some more. Sorry, I'm just going to the most important parts of my presentation. One more slide, please. Yep. So our community Wi-Fi today, we have a network of about 3,000 sites today. It covers across agriculture, enterprises, schools, hospitals, churches, hotels, and homes. So if you go on to the next slide, I will explain more about our specific community Wi-Fi model that we deploy. What we do, if you see on the bottom right of the slide, is actually our satellite terminal. It is small. It is only 1.2 meters big. So why we chose this size is so that it's easy to install, easy to deploy, especially when rural areas are difficult to access. And the video today, if you manage to see from CNX, somebody was carrying a Kacific satellite dish on his back, and he can actually cross a river with that. The other system that we have is a Wi-Fi access point with a range about 250 meters. And then we provide a voucher billing system called KeyWire as well, where a reseller can actually produce vouchers and data packages and customize it. And meaningful connectivity is very important. So with our technology and low cost, we offer up to 85 Mbps, and we price it at 1 gig, no more than $2 for our markets today. So I will explain a little bit more about how we do that in the next slide. Okay, so the words are a bit small, but some of the best practices is number one, we talked about engaging the community. So choosing the right reseller is very, very critical. If you look at the top right, we work with a local ISP in the market. So for example, trading in Vanuatu, who actually appoints a local reseller in the local community as well. So it involves a lot of people in the ecosystem, somebody who understands the community very well. And a lot of the success depends on who we choose. What we see today is that local entrepreneurs, NGOs, people who volunteer actually have a lot of success rather than somebody who is trying to take on a second job as a C-Wi-Fi system. In bigger areas, somebody who has an existing distributor chain actually works really well because they already have the network. Very quickly, location is very important. Understand your options and competition. What is the business and the consumers around the area, and what's the challenges today with the internet, or do they even know about the internet? So we always do site surveys. And what is the transportation options for these rural areas? So what helps is that we have strong logistic arms at Kacific. We have 27 warehouses, not just in the cities, but in the rural areas. So it makes transporting these satellite dishes faster and easier for these rural areas. Sometimes if we understand how the local community ship their goods, it actually helps a lot also. They have unorthodox ways of shipping their goods. It could be a local person who's traveling in and out of the city and we pay him a small amount of money to transport our goods. Another one is awareness and marketing. So sometimes if you set up a site and you don't promote it, nobody is going to use it. So we find that you need to actually educate in terms of short banners or launch event that there is such a site. The system also, how can they get vouchers? We are working on making them online vouchers rather than a physical code or paper vouchers. We also allow resellers to use their own voucher system. And most importantly, consider different pricing. At Kacific, we made a promise, 1 GB will be no more than 2% of the monthly gross national income of the country. So our two most favorite vouchers, for long-term one is 500 MB, 15 days, USD $1.25. Short-term, 1 GB for 3 days, USD $2. So you will see that the pricing is no more than 1 gig for around $2 or $2.50. So lastly, we talked a lot about funding. Expanding this infrastructure can be very costly due to logistics, upfront infrastructure. And one of the things that I would advise as a best practice is to take advantage of funding or government funding or private sector funding where possible. So Kacific used to sponsor the terminals at our own bottom line, but it's important to partner with these organizations who want to do good, to work with us to connect the community. So very happy to thank Ethnic Foundation as well. They granted us, in the next slide you will see, we can expand to another 100 critical education and healthcare sites with the help of the ISEA grants.